Everybody, welcome back to the stream. It's me, DIGI, welcoming you back to FS 2020 on Thursday, July the 3rd, 2025. We're going to be doing a little bit of a medium haul and chill stream today. I'll be flying the 789 from Horizon, and we'll be flying out of Boston, headed toward Orlando. I'm hoping that we can do a chill enough flight with a long enough cruise that I'll be able to, catch up with you guys or do things like go through some paperwork, chill, maybe even do a little bit of programming or scenery dev through Blender because I'm not going to be using the the scenery engine, the SDK in the sim at the same time that I'm flying. It's not possible. But we've got a roughly 3-hour block time planned out of Boston, and it looks like we'll be landing on 17 left. So we're gonna have a nice long taxi to the terminal, which is probably gonna be airside 3, like I usually like it to be. I'm generating the flight right now, and we're gonna get going momentarily. It's not going to be on VATSIM. I'm not using Say Intentions today. I might use it again, I think, the next few times that I fly. But if I do fly, it's going to be offline. I'm taking advantage of the afternoon to do a flight because I think tomorrow I might have a lazy morning and then afternoon time with the family. I don't know what's going on Saturday. I do know I'm going to have some friends over on Sunday, and then I have one more day off on Monday before I get back to the grind with my IRL job. But if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome aboard. I am a flight sim streamer and scenery developer. I'm a born-again Christian and welcome you here regardless of who you are, where you come from, what you believe. All I ask, of course, in return is that you provide a fair measure of courtesy and respect, because I will be referencing my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ during stream, and we have a body of moderators that does like to enforce a general sense of order that are fully deputized. So be nice to them, they'll be nice to you. At any rate, it usually takes me a little bit to get started, but otherwise, once we see the menu, we'll be able to get going. I do have my joystick and throttle quadrant plugged in, so I'm not going to be using a gamepad today. And I think that's probably an even easier thing for me to do today, because it'll be easier for me to get my stuff out of the way so I can, plug in other components or, go through my desk, whatnot. All things the same, wishing you a very good Friday, and to my friends in the States, happy 4th of July, a little early. We've got one more sleep, as they say, until we actually get to 4th of July tomorrow. But today is a nice day. Today I actually am off from work, so I'm grateful for that. Again, total block time for this flight is probably going to be 3 hours, so the sooner I get going, the sooner I can actually taxi in. And I don't know, I might choose a closer runway to airside 3, or we might park at a different airside, depending. But here we are, we're loaded in. Let's go ahead and check our plane. I am not going to be flying a Southwest Airlines delivery on the 789 because I don't think I have one for the 789. That was for the standard plane, the 10, the working title, which is a great plane, by the way. So, let's see. I could do Etihad if I was flying overseas to, Doha. But we will most likely take American Airlines. I think the tail number is baked in, so I'm not going to worry about setting up a tail number, and we are going to be American. And again, we are not going to be on an air traffic control network. We're just going to be doing multiplayer. So let's go ahead and do, let's see, all players live traffic. Let's select our departure airport, which is going to be Boston Logan. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be taking one of the larger terminals here, unless one of these terminals actually is for a bigger plane in this sector. Boston, I think, is a pretty big JetBlue hub, so I'm not going to be surprised. You know what? We could probably sneak out of here on E10. Let's see. Let me double check my browser. I have the flight calculated. We're going to be leaving on runway 33 left. So 33 left is this character. Okay. So actually, that's not bad. I mean, either or, really. It's going to take a little bit of maneuvering to get to that point anyway, so... Yeah, whatever. Let's just pick a gate and get going. And... Lifetime, 5:03. We'll see if we can't beat the sunshine down to Orlando at 8. I'm not expecting to, but we'll use real time. We'll have some fun with that. I can't remember the last time that I flew on stream and landed at night. That was a little while ago. Okay, so leaving Boston, going to Orlando, we will... Actually, yeah, I should be able to pull the SimBrief flight plan down. Let's get going. Alright, chat. I am using FS 2020, which does mean that I do not have the baked-in frame generation that I have in FS 2024. So, I'm going to go ahead and fire up lossless scaling and see if it works. I had some good results with lossless scaling when I used it with TAA the last time I flew in the sim. I don't remember if I was streaming at the time, but I think it was just good performance overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and request catering, American Airlines, and we will take Sky Chefs.
Vehicles are on their way.
Let's
this
also
take.
take.
Too small for your aircraft.
Oh, well, let's see. Let me double check. No, I challenge that remark. This parking should be good enough. While assistance services are active. Okay, alright. That's my bad. Stand by.
Is too small for your aircraft.
Alright, so I just reset the position. I should be able to configure the aircraft position now. That's cool.
Is too small for your aircraft.
Fixing that. And gate medium, marshaller. That's fine. Now this parking spot is big enough for my aircraft. So now we can get started. Let me think. I'm going to go ahead and presume that catering has been completed, and I'm going to go ahead and start doing boarding right away.
Requested.
We will do American. And let's see if it comes through the cockpit. Ah! Nope. All right. So I'm going to reset the position one more time because clearly this isn't good. All right. Now let's see if the jetway actually retracts. So let's operate the jetway. Well, that's interesting. All right, hold on. I'm not gonna worry too much about my position. And now I think I should be able to connect. Operate jetway, and now it's going to come out on the left side, which is great. And now we can actually do boarding. That is better. That is much better. We've got loads of Delta aircraft at this section, but there are still
Boarding
some
requested.
JetBlue planes, at least one or two that I see, so that's good. All right, we should be able to get going, and now I'm going to turn on lossless scaling, and we'll see whether or not that means my mouse pointer goes away. So far, so good. Let's get external power on, turn on the battery, and turn on my window heats. We'll also align IRS and clear the caution light. Let's go upstairs. Batteries on. Let's get the electricals set.
Do you want to board crew? Pilot's boarding starting.
Let's board everybody and get this flight deck set up the way I like it. Nav and logo lights on. Any eyes to auto. And
Crew boarding starting.
packs on. FD door power on. We have external power running. And we'll get the flight deck temp down. We'll get the cabin temp all the way down to a nice cold temperature. Because you know what I like to say, a cold passenger is a compliant passenger. All right. So, I think that's everything that we need at the moment. I don't want to take too long, and I also want to make sure I finish setting up. So we're going to go downstairs, and we're going to start getting our data set for today's flight. Boston to Orlando, like I said, and GPS position is set. Let's see if we can request data from SimBrief.
Your crew has boarded. Passengers boarding starting.
Okay, passengers are boarding. That's good. We're going to load the flight plan. And I should be able to request information from my OFP. Hopefully request information from my OFP for the setup. Okay, so let me not think about this too hard. Let me go and look at the OFP, performance data here, and we'll get going. We have FMC data, conditions are dry. Thrust rating, we're going to go with optimum thrust, and we will do a flaps config of 5. We should have enough room for it. Anti-ice config, we will do engine auto, and what do we have for the flight data? Let's go ahead and take a look at SimBrief real fast. I'm just taking a look at the numbers on a separate browser window. The projected takeoff weight for today is 378.8. And zero fuel weight is 341,254. Okay, and winds. Winds right now, let's take a look at the briefing preview. Winds right now are 281 at 11, gusts 20. So 281 at 20. And the outside air temperature is 28. QNH is going to be 29er, 89er. Okay, there we go. We've got the external factors here. Let's do calculation. Okay, cell temp is 56. Cell temp 56, and we have 135, 142, 151. Three, four, 1.2. And what are we taking for fuel for today? We have block fuel 38,663 pounds. I thought you were able to actually get the I thought you were actually able to get that stuff popped in. I forget what page I was looking at, but it must have been the 10 that I was looking at before. FMC com. Let's see. Takeoff. Fix. Hold. It's gotta be something else. So that's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna take a look at reserves straight from the flight plan. And let's see, block fuel is 38,663 pounds. Now, we have roughly 10,000 pounds of alternate fuel. So this is actually pretty generous even for a standard plan, which means I'm going to say we have at least 5,000 pounds. Actually, I can reliably say we have 8,000 pounds of reserve because Tampa is our alternate, and we have another like 4,000 pounds of reserve on top of the 4.5 that we need to fly to Tampa. So that's fine. Cost index for today's flight is going to be right here. We'll pop that in. And we're cruising at 40,000 feet. So I said cell temp was 56. Boarding's completed. And I think we're going to do a straight takeoff, no D-rate. And we're going to go to takeoff performance. We're going to do flaps 5. And do CG. CG is 5.75. We'll get that set. My apologies, by the way, if I'm missing any chat or comms. I'll get to you as soon as I can. All right. So looking good, 5.75. Let's go ahead and do 149, 155, 162, 162 on the MCP. On the MCP, and flight directors on, auto throttle on, and let's finish getting the lights ready for our flight today. And down here as well. This has the habit of wanting to zoom in. That's it. Okay, so transponder we'll set to 2257. Again, just a chosen squawk code that I use all the time. If I was on VATSIM, they'd give me one. Nav for 17 left is something I have to check. Let me go ahead and open charts. 17 left is usually not the runway I go to, but in real life, I believe the 18 left runway or 18 right is actually under construction. I think it's 18 left. So I guess 17 left is what we're using. And okay, I can probably take Hervey to the transition point for the runway, and we have vectors at the moment. That's fine, which means the frequency is 110.95 at 185. 110.95, 185. That is our course heading. And we'll leave that turned on, ready to go. That's it. That's all I need. Let's go up front again and just make sure we're set. So what was the predicted takeoff weight? Estimated takeoff weight 378,817. So 378.8. Wait, does that make sense at all? Gross weight 453. We're nowhere near that. Yeah, so 378,817. Yeah, these numbers are way smaller, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and double check. 150. And what were the numbers that we had? Yeah, 151. That's a lot closer. We'll go with the higher number, and that should be fine. Okay, am I missing anything? I don't think so. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I'm just kind of double checking myself right now. So we finished boarding. We should be ready to go. Pre-flight's just completed. Let me double check the routing. Okay, we're taking off 33 left. What's our departure going to be? Charts say we're taking the SOX 7 departure. SOX 7 departure, 33 left. And we go all the way out to Leopard. We'll be taking the Get Out 1 arrival. Leopard transition. ILS 17 left on the Hervey transition. And that's it. Straight up RNAV departure, taking waypoints all the way out. And then once we get to Leopard, we're going to be taking the Get Out 1 arrival in and taking vectors to Hervey. So just in case I get lazy, tired, or forget, and especially since I'm not on VATSIM, I'm going to go ahead and take the vectors part out, and that connects the entire flight plan together. If we go missed, we go around at 3,000 altitude, or we go around to 3,000 altitude and hold. Press. Okay, that's it. Let's see, legs on one screen and takeoff performance on another. Now we should be good. Let's go ahead and turn on the APU and get out of here. Oh, wait, let me check. We have fuel, left and right tanks. I don't think we have anything in the center. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have fuel in center. We'll see how long it lasts. Okay, beacon lights on. Okay, the APU should be starting up very shortly. And we should be ready to get out of here very shortly. Checking systems. We'll close the doors and get ready for pushback shortly. Air should be nice and cool. And yes, we do have fuel all over the place. Wait. How come we actually have 111,800 pounds? Wait, did we take max fuel? Because if we took max fuel, we would definitely be good for fuel on the way down. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're gonna be good. Oh, yes, we are. Okay, so, wait. Gross rate right now is 442.7. Okay, I'm not going to defuel. That's fine. So I'm going to say probably 441,500 pounds of fuel. Okay, now these numbers are going to be different. And because of that, we're going to say what? 160. This is why we double check. Okay, so 160 is going to be our V2 speed now, and we do have fuel all over the place. All my fuel pumps are on. Double check. Did I miss anything? All right, let's finish setting up here. Okay, fuel is all over. APU generator is running. Things looking okay for right now, at least. And that's it. APU is running. Let's go ahead and request pushback and double check and see what our taxi approach is going to be like for 3-3 left. So we're leaving 3-3 left out of Boston, which means we'll probably taxi via Alpha left on Charlie, cross 4 left and right, then cross Niner, and then set up to depart 3-3 left all the way at the bottom. We could do an intersection departure if we really wanted to, but I won't risk it. It is a Dreamliner kind of driver. Hello, friend. Good to see you. How are you doing? I hope you're well. I am off work for the next few days, so we're flying down to Florida. Think of it as a destination vacation. Sorry that I missed your message earlier. I'm swapping back and forth between screens at the moment. But we should be able to push back now. We're flying real time out of Boston, and we've got real traffic and multiplayer. I should be on the East server if anybody wants to tag along or give me a free military escort. We're going to be flying to Orlando KMCO, and it's going to take about maybe 3 hours block time. So give or take, we should probably be there around 8 o'clock tonight.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Local time. Local time. Let's put TCAS on TARA, and we will get out of here. TCAS is set.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Almost out of here. Just bringing the overall volume down a teensy bit. I'm not streaming late tonight, so I shouldn't have a problem keeping up with the volume, but I don't want to leave overall volume too loud. Wishing everybody a great afternoon today. We are in FS 2020 and we're flying the Horizon 789er down to Orlando. We've got some traffic in the area.
Locking gear.
Also looks like the Delta next to me is taking off shortly. We're going to push back. Let's see. Tail right, nose left.
Release parking brakes.
Parking brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Clock is now running. Let's go ahead and start our engines. I'm going to right then left. Right engine start. Ooh, that's a nice sound. $15 to 20%, I can turn on fuel. And now we'll turn on engine number 1. Looks like they're pushing back too. Engine number 1 fueled up. Right. Stand by, chat. Time to grab the controls. Here we go.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brakes, set.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Okay, I do believe we're good.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Okay, while we're waiting, let's get the APU turned off. And that should be everything. Right this instant. I'll double check the flight controls real fast. Yep, doors closed, slides armed.
Unlocking gear.
We have full left, full right, full forward, full back, full left, and full right rudder deflection.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass.
Full spoilers. And flaps 5 set.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
And here we go. We will take taxi lights on. And wing lights. There we go. That's it. Traffic and data for both displays. Thank you for your services, GSX crew. Until next time. And we will take data here as well. Okay, so we got quite a few people coming in to... Why does it look like everybody wants to come in from the north? Am I missing something? Can I get weather, please? Yeah, Boston, give me weather. Yeah, winds are coming in out of the northwest, so... I'm not sure what everybody else is doing. Weird. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little bizarre. That's a bit bizarre. Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, that's super odd. Everybody's coming in from the east. From the southeast. Yeah, that's a little weird. Alright, let's set up the in-flight view as well. Good enough for right now. Okay, so... Yeah, again, Alpha to Charlie, cross a few runways, take off 33 left. SOX 7, let me take a look at the departure information. Initial climb is going to be 5,000. And do we have any restrictions on departure? We need to be at or above 5,000 by Cuzzy. Yeah. Shouldn't be a problem with this bird. Okay. Parking brake release. Let's go. Hello, Book of Gaming. Welcome aboard. Hope you are doing very well. We just pushed back from the gates at Boston. We're flying to Orlando today. It's going to be about a 3-hour block time, and I am well on my way. I'm better than I deserve, my friend. We're dealing with some traffic at the moment. As you can tell, we have some real world traffic coming into Boston right now, some Delta planes and JetBlue. JetBlue has a nice big hub here as well, so no biggie. But happy to have you aboard, friend, and thank you to everybody watching live. Thank you to those people that are watching the VOD right now. And to those people that like to come in and lurk, welcome. Happy to have you. I heart my lurkers very much on this channel, so definitely feel free to stick around. If everybody's coming in on Alpha, I'll taxi out through Bravo just so I don't get in their way. Also, companies tend to frown on fender benders, so not a good thing. Just saying. But again, folks, welcome aboard. And if you don't know my friend Book of Gaming, like me, is a Christian streamer. He spends his time reading from scripture, from the Bible, from God's Word. And he also likes to do speed runs of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. As it turns out, very, very soon, he is going to be attending Games Done Quick, which will, for the very first time, do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, for the NES as a speed run. Book of Gaming, if you're still here, feel free to share details with chat, and that way they'll be able to know things like, the event and how they can support you. But welcome aboard, everybody. Very much happy to have you aboard. We've got roughly a 3-hour block time, and I am well on my way to taxiing on out of here. Now, I wonder why they're going this way. I don't know. Republic is going this way, but the winds are suggesting the other way. So I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to do what we need to do and get out of town like we normally do. I'm looking for Charlie. Did I pass Charlie? Not yet. July the 11th. Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that. Okay, so let me hit the brakes a little bit. Slow down, slow down, slow down. Let's get the lights on. Strobe light on. Nose light on. Taxi lights off. And now we'll make a left turn onto Charlie and cross runway 4 left. For some reason, they're landing on the 2-2s today. No idea why. But whatever. Excellent, Book of Gaming. Lurk away. We got some time. Okay, so we'll pretty much follow Charlie all the way out until we get past 4 left and 4 right. We just crossed 4 left. We're going to go to 4 right now. And then essentially we're going to be on Charlie, going past the hold apron and turning right on Charlie to go past runway 9er. Okay, doing good so far. Wow, that's pretty neat. I think they're leaving. So here's where we split off from traffic. I can always also just retool the runway that we're going to use. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Wait a minute, hold on. No, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to go ahead and stick to plan. Take off on the 3-3s. And mind my P's and Q's just in case somebody's coming in. No, no. They are lining up with the runway, so I should cross. Okay. Strobes on, landing lights are on. All right, flight attendants, please be seated for departure. Hey, Fuzzy Pickles, welcome aboard. Very happy to have you aboard as we fly down to Orlando today. We have a roughly 2.5 hour flight time. I'm going to be just chilling and chat and doing some things while we cruise out there. Barely made it in time. I'm glad you could, my friend. Welcome back to Book of Gaming as well. The live traffic seems to be landing on runway 22 left today. But the flight plan that we got from SimBrief gave us 3-3 left. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to line up since nobody's coming into 3-3, and we will figure out how to get going. Let's go ahead and park it for a few seconds and just double check the checklist because the plane likes to ding me for not following it. So, checklist, pre-flight, normal, before start, override, port taxi override, and let's see, before takeoff, flaps set, and then after takeoff, I guess that's it then. Cool. All right, CDU is back. All right, and let's double check. Let's see where we are here. We have folks coming in. Ooh, look at this, an air show. Don't be alarmed. That's not what real world traffic is doing. The combination of things that happens in the sim is that it injects traffic into the airport, and sometimes what happens is the traffic has to finish flying down to the runway, which is what the sim takes over for. That's not what they did in real life. So we should be clear. Parking brake off. Let's go. Hey, just passing through. Good to see you, Nathan's Plains. All right. We're going. Config stabilizer. We'll make that up, 90 knots. .130 coming up on V1.
V1.
Just in time. Rotate. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Flaps 1. Flaps up. Stick shaker, we are flirting with the yellow, so I'm going to keep my eye on the airspeed as we climb out. I'm flying it by hand right now. Once we get established and once we get out of the yellow band, we should be okay. We are tankering fuel too, so there you go. And we're way below flap up speed, so let me give myself at least flaps 1. While we're doing this, let me go ahead and activate autopilot, LNAV, VNAV. And now the aircraft is taking over. So we're going up to 5,000, but we've got no problem going the rest of the way. Let's take this all the way up to 40,000 feet at this point, since I'm not on VATSIM or any air traffic control network. And now we should be able to finish our climb. And now we are approaching clean speed. And now we can say goodbye to Boston over there as we fly to Florida. Okay, past clean speed, flaps are up, nose lights off, and we should be good. Wonderful. All right. We're climbing. We're having a great time. We are on our way to 10,000 feet, already at 7,000, and we're managing about 248 knots indicated. Current ground speed is about 263 knots and climbing. And we are in a fairly well-loaded 787-900 in FS 2020. Okay, we just passed Cuzzy, and we are well past 5,000 feet, so at least we met that altitude restriction. And let me double check what weather looks like. Okay, I don't see any weather systems in our immediate vicinity, so we're looking good. 10,000 feet, which means we can turn those landing lights off. Strobe light can stay on, otherwise lights are out. And we can probably turn the wing light off. I don't know. I think we can, because I think the red-green lights are still on. That's just the lights that light up the wings. So that should be fine. That's it. I think we should be okay at this point. We're still climbing at about 1,200 feet per minute, 1,150 to be exact. And we're gaining speed. Once we get to the desired indicated airspeed for climb, we will continue our stronger ascent path, which it looks like we just did. And let's see, how much longer until we get to the top of climb? Looks like about 80 nautical miles. So in about 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, we'll be at top of climb for today's flight. And then we basically just kind of like look out the window for another 2 hours straight. Well, hour and 15 minutes, because then you have to navigate the descent and the arrival into the airport and all that stuff. But all the same, folks, welcome. Happy to have you all with us as we fly down to Orlando today. To my friends in the States, happy 4th of July coming up tomorrow. I know it's the 3rd. It's okay. Oh, look at that. The weather did load in, and we do have a couple of systems that are well to the southeast of us in our current trajectory. But yeah, we have some weather that we're probably going to dodge on the way out. Clouds look nice and squishy. Way out that way, there's like a tiny squall of thunderstorms, I think. Not that big. There's a bigger system in place over upstate New York and I think Connecticut and a little bit in Massachusetts, but not much at the moment. Okay, past 18,000 feet, we can go standard pressure now. That's wonderful. Should have said auto brake RTO on departure, but that was my mistake. We did have the runway for the departure though, so that's great. That plane is loud. I'm sorry to anybody that I caught by surprise. Okay, so standard pressure, 20,000 feet and climbing. We're at flight level 204 at this point, all the way up to 400, and we are in real time. So we will be chasing the sun down to Florida, down to Orlando. I don't know if we will get to KMCO before the sun sets, but even if we land at night, that's fine. It's a bespoke airport, so it was a custom airport that was included with Microsoft Flight Simulator when it released in the summer of 2020. So it does have some additional details, more so than the standard airport we departed out of, which was one of the ones that we have like Boston. We are turning now, and I think we are just about to wrap up the SOX 7 departure. SOX transition is just it just happens to be below we're just to the south of Plymouth. So let me think. Let me go outside real quick, see if I can find it. It's somewhere behind us, but under those clouds, so you wouldn't be able to see it. I think I do have it installed on my computer, so we would at least see the scenery that I created for it. I still need to finish that. Okay, so coming up on our right side, way down there, is going to be New Bedford Regional, or over here somewhere. But we should catch the clouds that come with the brief little squall out here. We're climbing to 26,000 feet, and our destination is going to be 400 or 40,000 feet up. So we're most likely not going to be dealing with too much weather at that altitude unless we have a really strong, really strong system. And those are the kind you vector around. Short story, I went to Alaska back in 2023, and part of the flights that I did involved Vancouver and Denver. And leaving Denver, we left Denver in the evening. I think it was like 8 o'clock Mountain Time or something. And we had to go north of the airport before we went east because there was some gnarly thunderstorms in the area. like big storm cells. I could look out my wife's window. She had the window seat. I could look out my wife's window and we could actually see the lightning in the clouds. How many hours have I recorded? Well, to put it in perspective, back in like 2017 through 2019, when I had Microsoft Flight Simulator X Steam Edition, which was a much older sim, I think I put somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 hours of flight time, if not more. I don't know how many hours of flight time I have in FS 2020, but I've been flying it off and on since its release in 2020, in the summer of 2020, like August. So I would probably estimate I have at least somewhere between 500 to 1,000 hours in this sim through, different aircraft and whatnot. And, this is purely recreational. Today I'm not flying it like, legit for reals serious, but there are plenty of systems that are modeled in aircraft like this, and there are even more systems that aren't fully modeled, but that you would learn if you flew the aircraft for real. What's interesting about the 787 is I think this aircraft was fully designed, fully computer designed, and the materials in construction are like very, very, very lightweight or very advanced. The aircraft does quite a few things that are more advanced than what you typically see older 737s doing. For example, when you start the plane, you don't have to turn the passenger air conditioning off. The computer handles that for you, and there are certain other things it does well. Like this thing has this thing called vertical descent, which it does, and a lot of modern aircraft have it, even the ones that it had to be retrofitted into. But there's a good chunk of, thought that went into designing the planes and having the pilots fly them. Now, yes, there was an Air India crash a while back. I'm not a professional pilot. I'm not going to comment on the factors regarding that crash. It did involve a 787, but as far as I understand, that is literally one of the only incidences of a serious crash involving this plane. I don't know what variant it was. I don't know if it was a 900 or an 800, but again, it's for a 787, an incident like that is actually extremely rare. And it's like, planes crash, I don't want to go fly. It's like, okay, that's a legitimate concern to have. I would say that flying is still, in my opinion, one of the safest ways of getting from point A to point B on the planet. You can say, well, like when my car runs out of gas, I don't fall out of the sky. Well, yes, that is a thing that happens with planes when they run out of fuel. But at the same time, I'll give you, for instance, even if I went with the minimum fuel required for this flight, which was like 38,000 pounds or something, there's so much contingency that's baked into even the minimum fuel that's used to fly a flight that the actual fuel required to fly the flight is roughly I think 60 to 65% of the fuel taken, and the other 35% is somewhere around what's called contingency fuel that's required in case you have to take care of something in flight, fuel that's required in case the weather at your destination airport is bad or there's a condition which requires you to divert to an alternate airport. Our alternate airport in this case is Tampa. So I have another 4,500 pounds of fuel to get to Tampa. I have another 4,000 pounds of fuel to use as emergency contingency fuel in case something else happens. So the bare minimum is actually still a very forgiving number as long as you do what a typical, I guess, designation of fuel would be, like that kind of ratio. Now, I forgot to double check or defuel or refuel, so I went with the crazy high max fuel rating, which I think I started on the ground somewhere around 111,000 pounds, which is way more than I needed. So I could literally probably fly back to Boston and not have to even refuel when I get to Orlando. So that's fine. I don't know what the absolute max fuel load represents, but I do know I'm not going to have to refuel when I touch down. Am I going to do a second flight today? No. This is about a 3-hour flight gate to gate. So there's flight time, which is probably closer to something like 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then there's block time. And block time is total time from, pushing back from the gate at your departure airport to arriving at the gate at your destination airport. So that number is 3 hours total. That covers taxiing out to the runway at the departure airport and taxiing in to the gate when you touch down at the arrival airport, among, I think, a few other things. But we are on our way now. If I stick to the performance calculations which were set up for this aircraft by the flight plan, then I should expect to arrive there probably sometime around maybe 8 or 8:30. So I would say probably sometime around like 8, maybe 8:15 at the latest. Because when we pushed back, it was about a half an hour ago. So that means that we left around 5:30, which means we're probably going to wrap up tonight around 8:30 or so. And yeah, I am feeling that mid-afternoon sky. You're going to see it get more and more bright and more orange. We're probably going to have the sunset before we touch down in Orlando, but we probably will have some light in the sky left before we actually, arrive. So we're not going to be arriving pitch dark. It is going to be something like, late afternoon, probably just past sunset, maybe about like another 30 minutes or something. We'll have our lights turned on, but we'll be able to see a good chunk of what's going on. Depending on how I feel, depending on whether or not I just wrap up really quick, I might hop in a little helicopter or just take a drone straight to Disney and just fly around the theme parks. It's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to say it will, but I might be tempted to. We'll see. We are approaching flight level 370 and we're climbing at about 800 feet per minute. So we should be reaching top of climb in another probably 5 to 7 minutes. Given the speed at which we're climbing, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the seatbelt signs now. And now folks can get up and stretch their legs. This plane does not have an interior, otherwise I could probably take you on a quick tour of what it was, but I would imagine a 787 is probably going to be a bit spacious. At least 4 to 5 seats across in the widest section of the cabin, of the actual passenger cabin. And the business and first class seats are probably really spacious. So, okay, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to have you aboard. Today again is Thursday, July the 3rd. We just took off about, I'd say, 26 minutes ago from, actually no, I know exactly how much time. 19 minutes ago, we took off from Boston International Airport. We are en route to Orlando. And how far along are we? Let me take a look at the chart. We are on the outskirts of Long Island. We're going to be crossing south of New York City, and I'm probably going to be able to see it off the right wing, or at least off the right side of the flight deck if I look. There is a bit of a rain system going through New York right now, so I'm not expecting to see any major landmarks. I'm going to assume we don't, especially from the ocean. And I figure it's going to be at least an hour and a half until we start getting close enough to Florida to start getting ready to descend. But given how far up we are and given what I want to do, let me catch up with all of you to start. Let me lower the volume a teensy bit. Okay, that should be fine. Yeah, this should do fine too. Okay, so happy Thursday to you. Hopefully you're doing very well. As I've mentioned on chats and other Twitch streams, I've had a fairly adventurous past 3 or 4 weeks. Some of you might know my story. I am I do a software job IRL. I stream for fun and for the fellowship of my friends and Twitch fam, DIGI fam. I have been hanging in there with Mrs. Digi. She's been having health issues that she's been stepping through for the past, going on, I think, 3 solid years now, and even longer if I factor in some of the other concerns that have cropped up in the past. The issue is that she's been having difficulty getting around. So she's had surgeries, she's had some treatments, and she's taking medicine right now to try to get to a better place health-wise. It hasn't been easy, and unfortunately, we haven't received the news that we were looking for. Obviously, whenever anyone that you care about has to have surgery or has to go and undergo medical treatment, what you want to happen is that they go through that treatment or they have that surgery and they come out better. They're back on their feet, they do what they need to do, and then, they just wind up, better, back to being their old self. Unfortunately, we haven't had that happen just yet. But we've laughed and we've experienced life together. I'm still grateful to have her with me, and the past weeks and months have not been easy. We've been navigating some sticky financial times, but thanks to the support of many people in our support system and all of you as well, we have been able to get from one end of the week to the other, praising the Lord as we do. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for each day. Do I get frustrated? Do I get tired? Do I get overwhelmed? Yeah, I do. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be open. But Elohim is still on the throne, and he understands why these struggle bus classes are being taught to me. One thing I will say, I have a better perspective on some of the things that I either used to take for granted or just didn't deal with in the past years. So, if you would have told me about 10, 12 years ago that I would be doing more things for Mrs. Digi around the house and doing everything that I needed to do, I'd be like, hey, that's cool. I love Mrs. Digi. I'm gonna take care of her. It's rough, but at the same time, there are a few things that I've learned that I don't need, which were kind of getting in the way. And now, after dealing with that for the past year or so, I've learned that some stuff just isn't as important as it used to be. I will say I am trying to be better about the things that I do, the time that I spend. I'm trying to be a harder worker. I'm trying to be better about doing life deliberately. And for me, as a born again Christian, the answer is through my relationship with God through Jesus Christ. So it's not an elective. That's a requirement. I don't know where I'd be or how I'd feel if I didn't have a relationship with Him. I know I'd be a lot worse. I can tell you that. I'd probably I'd probably be trying to find some relief or some comfort in things that weren't designed for that, like alcohol, which is a really easy way probably to sink loads of money and mess yourself up physically. I'm not saying anything about people that like to socially drink. You do you. I'm just saying for me personally, I understand that's not where I want to be. So I certainly don't want to drink alcohol to get drunk. But for me, that's besides the point. I understand there's certain things that I don't need to do with in my life. And hey, I'll drink a glass of champagne and toast to someone's wedding. Like that's an easy for me. If I'm visiting a longtime friend and I'm spending a few days over at their place, and it's like the afternoon and we're going nowhere, and they want to offer me a can of beer, and we're chilling and we're hanging out, I'm an adult. I can drink it. That's fine. If I'm home, if it's a typical work week, if it's a typical work month, if I'm doing things where I want to be completely set to go anywhere, do anything, I'm usually not going to touch this stuff. So, again, that's me. I'm not judging you. Also, again, these opportunities have given me time to think about how to deal with life. And Fuzzy Pickles, I saw your message. Thank you. I appreciate your prayers and support. Thank you so much for your fellowship and your friendship. But also, the beautiful thing about the current situation is that, again, it gives me time to think deliberately about the stuff that I need to be doing with my time. Certainly with my life through Christ. Like, there are bigger goals going on here, but at the same time, from day to day, trying to do life is is kind of easier in the sense that, hey, like there's stuff we have to do. There's laundry to do, there's dishes to do, all that stuff. So definitely, without question, the day-to-day routine is something that I understand has to be done, and in some ways I also enjoy. I don't know if you're like me, but while I like going on vacation and I like spending time in different places with people, there's a small moment at the end of every trip where I come home and I see I see like my bed, and I put my suitcase down, and I empty the clothes, and I, like, start a load of laundry, or I start a load of laundry the next day. And it's like, you know that moment when you get back home after a great trip, right before you go, oh man, well, I want to go on vacation again. That moment is kind of like part of like my reason for being. When you come back to a place you haven't been at for a while and it's home, home feels so good when you actually get to sit in your bed again for the first time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking vacation. I I'm a big fan. Some of you already know this. Most of you already know this. I'm a big fan of going to Disney, and it just because we stay in a particular resort, we do a particular kind of like routine, and the place that we stay at, we usually have loads of room to just chill out or get together as a family. And that moment, hold on, let me double check. I'm peeking here. Sorry, I was just double checking my volume. That moment when you arrive at the resort for the first time, and you actually put your suitcase down, and like Mrs. Digi has a routine. She literally, she kind of takes pictures of the place, like wherever we're staying, and then within like 15 minutes, probably within 5 minutes, she already has her like luggage unpacked in the drawers and whatnot, and she's like, talking to people. She's like almost ready to go, and it usually takes me at at least like 15-20 minutes to unpack, get the lay of the land, and then go to like get the first dinner. But that those like first like 3 hours when I'm there, and we decide, okay, where we're gonna go have dinner, what we're gonna do, like that first night, the adrenaline and the euphoria are just like peak, and you're like, oh man, I'm finally here again, this is great, it's so nice to be back, blah 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 blah. And then it's usually downhill from there. But all the same, those two moments are things that I think about, and they make me smile. Like between the first few hours that you're at your destination and like the first 30 minutes when you get back home and you sit in your own bed and you see your pets again, whom you've presumably either boarded or had someone look after while you were away. Because, obviously, if you have a husky, you're not going to leave him alone in the house for 7 days by himself. That would be very bad. Um, but those moments are great. And those moments are things that I think about, and thoughts in my mind. Also, I try to do my best to stay on top of organizing or dealing with like paperwork or whatnot. I I try to keep things as neat as I can with the time that I have. And everybody's going to have issues with that to a certain degree, and everyone is going to struggle on one thing or another. I think, let me think. One of the things that I struggle with is sometimes having piles of paperwork. And when I say paperwork, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can easily let the mail that I get from a mailbox kind of pile up, especially if it's mail that's like, okay, you qualified for a personal home loan, or you get all those like mail solicitations for loans or buying a new car, all those things that usually come in the mail that you can just rip through and set up in a shred pile to shred at some point later. Those are the things that I sometimes forget about, or struggle to kind of like get out of my way. But I digress. That's just part of my schedule. Now, how far along are we? Oh wow, we have flown way past the lower New York Bay. I'm now I'm literally almost perfectly due east of the Jersey Shore and Philadelphia. And I would imagine in another 30-ish minutes we'll probably be in the around Delmarva, and won't be that far away from like say Virginia Beach and Roanoke. Not Roanoke. No, 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 no. Norfolk. Norfolk. There we go. This is so nice. I'm a big fan of the 787 because it's just this kind of like regal way to get from place to place really fast. We are cruising at Mach decimal 850, and ground speed right now with our quartering headwind is still 443 knots. True airspeed is actually 490, but the ground speed, what we're actually clocking over the ground, is 443 knots, about somewhere between 460 to 480 miles an hour or something like that. Maybe 450 to 460, but still, that's still pretty fast. I'd like to be a lot closer to 490, but again, we're kind of flying against the wind because it's coming from this direction, which means we have to kind of like turn the nose a little bit, I think, into the wind to keep the path that we're taking. Otherwise, the plane would be pushed further out east and would have to spend more time turning into the wind anyway to stay on the magenta line to keep going. So if I put my range out to 640 miles, that's, I think, pretty much right when we start getting ready to descend. I think. So we'll leave it at 320 for now. Do we have anybody? We had someone off of our 10 o'clock, about 10 nautical miles off that way. Let me see. Yeah, but nobody right now. That's fine. Oh, there we go. There we go. LXJ. I wonder what airline that is. I'm not sure if they're going to Bermuda or if they're going somewhere else. I don't know that code off the top of my head. Okay, so enough of me like mostly yapping and doing nothing else. I wanted to do a few things while we were on cruise. One of them I kind of already got started on, which is fun. Well, I mean, it's good. Re Reorganizing stuff is not fun. Definitely not for me, but I do like to I do like to um, try to make things a little easier on myself. I'm just going through some stuff on my desk right now, and then once I have that stuff sorted, I'm probably going to play a game or two during cruise. What I haven't decided is whether or not I'm going to play any retro NES games, because I think it's unfortunate, but it's also pretty easy for anything that has theoretically copyrighted audio to be muted. And if I want the audio on this video to not be muted, I have to avoid certain things. So I'm hoping, like, I hope that if I want to play some games they don't have copyrighted audio, but at the same time, if I, like, I shouldn't be afraid of playing. Again, I don't want to get to that point. But I'm rambling. I think after I get this stuff on my desk sorted, or at least out of the way, I'm probably going to play a game or two, or I'm going to do what I did last time, which is actually possibly even more preferable to that. But then again, me plugging in my Raspberry Pi or my Pi Zero isn't going to be, it's not going to be, like, say, perfect for the sense of gaming, because if I use a screen viewer or a remote desktop viewer, it's not going to be as, say, responsive as I'd like it to be. But that's also a good thing, because if it's not going to be as responsive, that means I'm not going to be gaming on it. All right. What else can I move? That should probably be fine enough for now. And there's a pile of paperwork that I'm probably going to work on next week, or at least during some downtime tomorrow morning. So that's fine. I have reorganized a little bit. I'm happy. I'm going to, I think, break out my Raspberry Pi 3 and see if I can get a little screen render going. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, if you have any, if any of you are fortunate enough to work from home, if any of you have little habits that you do, sometimes I like to have a separate screen going in my office so that I can either listen to music, but here's the problem with me. Because of the work that I do, it's very difficult to listen to any kind of song, even if it's a song that I've heard like 50 or like 60 or like, I don't know, umpteen hundred times. Because what happens is you kind of start getting the song kind of gets in, and then, like, you want to like bop or do something and sing, and I have to think about code I have to write. So that starts to get in the way of me doing my job. So I usually listen to instrumental music. I usually listen to, like, for example, videos on YouTube that are like, walking videos or ambient videos, or videos where somebody is just sitting on their porch listening to the wind blow, stuff like that. And the cool thing about that is that it's just like the tiniest bit of noise, and in one sense it almost directs my focus, because I know that I'm not focusing on something. Oh, I know a perfect way of explaining this. If you have ever either been at work or worked from home, and you've tried to lurk on someone's channel on Twitch, and you've tried to figure out how to be, for lack of a better phrase, how to be quiet and how to just do your work, you might have noticed one major problem. If you're doing anything that requires you to use your brain to, do something either as simple as solving a math problem, or doing something as complicated as what I do, which is write code. When I tune in to anyone's channel on Twitch, I cannot, I'm legit serious, I cannot stay on their channel for long if I'm not on a break, because what winds up happening is I'm either tempted to pay attention to what they're doing and contribute to the conversation, like say hello, ask them what they're doing, blah blah blah, or even if I watch their VOD, if I have to do something like, let's just pretend I'm a math teacher and I have to compute the square root of like 5200, then like me listening to somebody on a stream is going to, it's going to slightly or majorly derail me, because then my brain wants to go, ooh, what are they talking about, what are they saying? So that's what happens to me, at least. Whereas if I go on YouTube and I put something up like, hey, find a video of walking in a forest in the rain, from like 10 years ago, then here's what happens. It's just that video. You know the kind of noises that are going to come and exactly at what point they're going to show up. So, like, if they're walking past a grove of pine trees and their umbrella gets a few drops of water, then your brain kind of already knows that, and then you don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. You easily dismiss that because you know what's coming and your brain knows what's coming, and you're just fine. You're fine. So that's like one of the paradoxes of tuning into things. If I'm tuning into something on a separate screen, it better be something which I've watched before, something which is has no speaking. Like, I can't even watch people play video games on a separate window. And I'm not talking about Twitch. I'm just talking about like a recorded run of, like, say, Legend of Zelda or something, because it's the differences in, like, sound or whatnot in that kind of an environment are gonna make me want to pay attention. So it's literally me listening to people walk in the street, or walk in a forest, or walk in a park, and that kind of ambient noise is what guides my brain. Again, that's just me, but that's exactly how I try to, like, use my environment to my advantage. And sometimes I like to have um, you know tinier computers that show me pictures of, say, like, something old, or that's like a separate kind of, like, almost like a picture portrait, so that I can have that playing in the background and it's nice. And that way it's less of a bother to me. But I mean, even that sometimes can be difficult. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to always configure my environment to be the most benefit it can be to me, without presenting a problem. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But I mean, you know, I'm still so grateful. I remember 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, there was no remote work for me. It was wake up in the morning really early, go to work, do your work at work, come home, lather, rinse, repeat, all the time. Now, I mean, the place where I was at the time, that was great. It was a nice place to drive to. It was a nice campus, and I worked with some wonderful people. It was absolutely wonderful. It was great. It's like, yes, DG, we know, wonderful, wonderful. You see, you keep saying wonderful, but it really was. And now I work remotely, and it's almost a paradox. You think, oh my goodness, like, dude, I would, like, be in my PJs all the time. I would just be like, hey, this is great. And believe me, when everybody was in their own separate earthbound satellites, and it was like 2020 and 2021, and all of us were going through the thing and wondering if we were going to live or die, having the ability to do stuff like that was like living on a new frontier. And truth be told, I would like to keep doing that as long as I possibly can. But I also like socializing with people a teensy bit. So as I see more and more work going back into a kind of like hybrid mode, where companies are okay with people being home some of the time, as long as they can come into the office on occasion, that seems to be the mode. That seems to be the kind of like new normal for certain companies, especially tech companies. There are some companies that are requiring everybody to come back to the office all the time, but it's fortunate enough that it's not the prevailing pattern, at least not yet. I was telling this to Book of Gaming, I think it was either last night or the night before. I said, I kept trying to find new work. I kept trying to find a different job. And I just finally got to the point where I said, you know what, Yahweh? I know I want to get somewhere better, but this is where you have me right now, and I'm going to thank you for it. And while I don't think I said as many words, I'm trying to ice my brain and just stay in a spot where I am. I don't know about you guys, but one of the easiest ways for me to get in trouble is by being impatient. And by impatient, I mean like I need something new, I need something better, I need to, improve my life, blah blah blah. And like basically it'd be like, oh well, you can always go and get a new smartphone. They have a promo right now. You can trade your stuff in, and you only have to pay like a couple $100 to get a new phone, and it's free, but you have to pay the taxes. And you might jump at the chance because your brain says free, but your wallet says, okay, knucklehead, you're getting a Samsung S25 Ultra with all the trimmings. Like the phone costs like 2 grand, so you're going to be paying at least somewhere between, I don't know, um, 120 to like 200, say $240 in taxes and fees. So basically, your free phone costs you money, and it kind of comes back to what I was saying before. Like I'm trying my best to live contented in the moment because I know what the last several months have cost me, and I see the other side of the show now. Like me going to the mall with a wallet full of money to burn, that's not who I am anymore. I mean, hey, if you've got your financial stuff together and you're happy and you're good and you know exactly why you're going to the mall and you're going to, treat yourself, again, I'm not judging you. I'm directing my judgment at myself. All the same, that's basically been me. Now, let me double check something. I might be able to share my tiny screen if I can figure out what my local IP address is. What is it? I think it's 80. Is it 81 or 80? This text is so small. Wow. Okay, it's probably easier for me to take a look at the network connection itself. No, I don't want to forget the network. It's either 81, 83, or 85. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's have some fun. So, let me see if I can find it for one. Probably not going to find it. It'll take me a few tries. But if I can find it, I can show you my Raspberry Pi 3 display. And it's a really, really low resolution. So I'm not expecting to actually have it show up and fill the screen. Okay, I think I found it. All right, stand by, chat. Right, let's go. Okay, so you don't see it because I'm not showing the screen just yet. I think it should pick up on the connection now. Yes, there we are. Okay, I'll put that here for now. Actually, that's pretty cool. It can stay in the middle of the screen. Beautiful. And yeah, this is it. Perfectly centered. This is my Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. And the resolution is going to be a little bit low and grainy. That's fine. But this is basically a tiny, tiny computer. It's literally sitting on my desk. It's kind of like the equivalent of like a big pack of like playing cards. but it's also in a case and it's got a tiny screen. However, the screen that I'm looking at right now is bigger. So you can do things on this. You can program. You can mess around with hardware components. You can browse the web or you can do work. And this was like state of the art back in 2014. I want to say 2015. So I'll give you a for instance. I will share my Python development environment. And let's see if I can find the same mathematical rendering program that I used before. It's probably here. If it's not, it's probably on my Raspberry Pi 4, and that's okay. There we go. That took a while. Okay, so I don't have anything connected to it. I could connect a microcontroller to my Raspberry Pi if I really wanted to, but I don't think I have it. Now, let me go to Documents. Let me see if I have... Do I not have a code folder? Huh. Give me a moment. No, I don't think I have any documents on this one. I think I programmed on the Pi 4, which is wise because it has more memory and probably more storage. But I mean, that's just because I have SD cards. So I don't think I'm going to be programming on this today, and that's okay. What else can I do? I can probably... I could probably play a few games if I really wanted to. There's a kind of bubble bobble game on this called Cavern, where it's just like you against several robots. I don't know how it's going to perform. I know it's really slow on a Pi 0. I know it's really fast on a Pi 4. So I'm curious to see how it runs on my Pi 3. I don't know if it stopped running, but I'm going to leave it alone for like a few more moments. Oh, and chat, just in case you haven't caught up and realized this, I'm a nerd. I like to mess with computers. Okay. That's not bad, actually. There's probably going to be some lag. Actually, there's plenty of lag. But yeah, I mean, basically it's like bubble bobble. I'm dropping frames left and right, but essentially, yeah. I don't think I have the same game that I made here, but I made a game on Windows using Python where like it's like you're falling, you keep falling, and the further down you fall, the more points you get. I might repost that on my Discord or just look for the link if I decide to look into it tonight. Just a quick check. We are about to leave Delmarva and we're going to be coming into Virginia on the right side. Let me hide this for a moment and share with you. Oh, look at that. We've got some company. JetBlue flying out of Providence. I don't know where you're going, but it's nice to see you. You are further out than 20 miles, though. Definitely further out than 10, so I don't see you on the radar. Okay, well, at least we've got inbound traffic now, so that's good. And they are 2,200 feet below me, so I'm not going to see them. Okay, what was I looking for? I guess I was looking for Virginia off my 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Oh look, another plane. Loads of real-time traffic right now. It's great. So they're cruising at 36,000 feet. I'm at 40,000 feet, and there's a little bit of rain in the Norfolk area. And I'm about 45% of the way to Orlando, maybe like 40%. Once we get past, I think Virginia and North Carolina will be will be closer, and we'll be on our way. Let me actually look at something. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get my screen to load something I like to look at when I fly. Maybe maybe I'll start doing something like what other streamers do, where I have, like, tiny little screens or tiny little widgets running in the background, just to keep the display looking lively, and it's like a separate thing. Let me see if I can find my bookmarks. Okay, once I have it, I'll share it with you. Now, chat, just to put it in perspective. Oh, paper airplanes flying out of the sky. That would be nice, actually. Yeah. Um, I'll share with you one of the things I usually do, or at least what I used to do when I kept my Raspberry Pi on my desk. You can the beautiful thing about this thing is that it doesn't take up a lot. It doesn't use a lot of juice. It doesn't use a lot of power. So you can kind of make it like a desktop widget and have fun with it. Of course, when you're doing your work, you should be doing your work. But again, like I said, I usually have just some desktop widgets that, like, spin or look nice, and I don't spend a lot of time on them. I just kind of like to have them around me so that they just, like, take up screen space. Okay. Now, this is going to look really really slow, really choppy. But I also don't care, because it's a nice way for me to have a little widget to look at. And Outrun is one of my favorite arcade games of all time. So it's kind of nice to have that in the background. As you can tell, my brain likes to spin in many different directions throughout the course of a day. But yeah, this is from a particular arcade game website. You can play arcade games for free online. You do not have to download them to your computer. They basically load in the web browser, and you basically play them, infinite credits. You don't have to spend money on, changing your dollars for quarters. Which is good. Is very good. I'm not playing right now. This is just the attract screen for the arcade game. I don't think I'd be able to get sound anyway, because I think I'd either have to plug in a headset or something, or I'd have to feed in an audio input to feed that either to my computer or to a capture card. Now, I do also have a capture card, and it does take up to 60 FPS 1080p. So I could theoretically pipe the audio and the video directly into my capture card and do stuff like that. Matter of fact, I even have a VGA capture card and audio option, which means I could take my netbook, which is an old piece of equipment, and play games like Sim Tower and what is it? Simcopter. But wait, was that the name of the game? Why is my brain not working? Yes, it is called Simcopter. Okay, cool. All right. Now, let me think. Is it possible for me to find a purely online screensaver of paper airplanes? Let me see. I'm checking. I mean, sheesh, I could probably just get a YouTube video and play it on the computer. Don't mind me. I'm checking something out right now. But this is pretty cool. Okay. I thought I found something. Paper airplane stock footage. Okay. World record flight time. Okay, that's why I'm confused. Iowa Scotsman, hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you with us. We are well on our way to Orlando. We took off from Boston probably the better part of almost 2 hours ago. We're flying down to Orlando, and we are in the Horizon 787-900. I'm messing around right now. I'm looking for old computer screensavers to see if I can actually find something. Let's see if I can find something. Hold on. There used to be this kind of like after dark screensaver for like Windows, and it would play a whole bunch of like screensavers or whatnot. Oh, oh, that's so dope. Oh my goodness. I'm probably about to give some of you flashbacks. I think I just realized something. Let me see if I can switch my screen. I'm going to hide that for now. Let me see if I can pull up a video. Which one is this? This may actually be very appropriate. But don't mind me, I'm having too much fun. Let's see. 10 hours, no loop. Okay, it's not going to be 4K. Don't mind me, chat, just trying to get everything loaded. Actually, this is an interesting question. What is the first operating system that any of you actually learned how to use and actually did use when you were when you were growing up? Was it was it was it like, Windows? Was it like Windows 7? Was it Windows 98? Was it even older? Was it like was it like Windows 2.1? I kind of like this, but I kind of don't at the same time. It's not going as fast as I'd like it to, but I'll share what I found. So basically, that's that's a screensaver. It's just very choppy right now. But imagine flying through a star field, but instead of stars, you have little Windows logos. That goes all the way back to like Windows 3.1. So, hey, Lyles, good to see you, my friend. I hope the rest of your Elder Scrolls stream went well. Hopefully you're doing okay today. I am well on my way to Orlando, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'm sharing some old memories and having some fun with some screens and whatnot. So let me take a look. We should probably be pretty close to North Carolina if we're not already in North Carolina by now. And then in a little bit, we'll probably be in South Carolina and then Georgia. Oh, sure, sure. Take your time, friend. Take your time. So, I don't think I'm going to have something very performant on this tiny computer, but I can always put this screen away and then basically play a game on my browser on my actual computer, so that way I'm not subject to the performance limitations of my Raspberry Pi 3. Because I think really, if you want to watch any kind of video or do anything fairly serious on a tiny computer like that, the lowest common denominator for me these days is a Raspberry Pi 4. And you can buy a Raspberry Pi 4 as a desktop. You can also buy a Pi 5, and they sell them now with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And I think total cost out the door for one of the kits is probably going to be upwards of $150 to $200. So if you want something like that that also lets you tinker with electronics, the Pi 5 is probably going to be your best option. Although you still, I think, can get many of the older models, so that you can actually experiment and make projects, and those projects are probably going to be easier to run on older hardware if you're not going to be concerned about doing things like, browsing the web or doing something. I mean, like, if you have a microcontroller or even an old Raspberry Pi and you want to water plants with it, or you want to set it up as part of a digital display where you can actually use it as a clock, or use it as something to monitor tides or whatnot. It would be easier to do that with an older one. But hold on. I was taking a look at something earlier. I don't even know if I'm signed in anymore. That's fine if I'm not. Let me look for some games to play while we're actually in cruise. And what can I play online that's really easy to play? There are several play games online sites. Usually, I'm either going to go to DOS Games Reloaded or something like that to find. Oh, there we go. ClassicReload.com. All right, great. let's see. I don't want to play. I don't want to play like modern games. I just want to play like really old games online for a little bit. Let me see if I can find anything from DOS. Let's see. Wow, 10th frame. That is an old game. 3D Hamster Adventure? Nah. Looking for something to share with you guys. Absolute Zero? Probably not. Action Fighter? Probably not. Air Duel? No, not something that's like, like an action game or something. I just want something really basic. Alien Worlds, Alien Syndrome. The Apocalyptic Quest. Oh, this might work. Oh, let me see if this actually works. Hang on, you might hear it. Let me see. I'm gonna adjust the volume because I don't want this to be blaring. Let me know if you hear it. Let me also open the browser. There you go, chat. All right, so a little bit of a blast from the past. Playing video games on a computer. There was a time when this was kind of like a novelty. And with Arkanoid, you had all these power-ups. Got how fast this thing sped up too. Almost lost it that time. Ooh. Nope, couldn't get to it that time. want to get the laser power up so bad. But the laser power up's not going to do me any good if I don't have any balls. There we go. All right. See you later. Yeah, and essentially that's basically, the whole premise. You can play games online. You can you can basically enjoy yourself. I specifically like to go to sites like this to play games like this specifically because that's the time. Those are the games I remember playing. Those are the games I remember having fun with, and those are the ones that mean the most to me. So that's why I like coming to sites like that to play classics like that, because it just speaks to me. And there's other platforms as well, but I think the entire premise of something like this is specifically geared for me towards playing old games from old systems. Let's see how far along we are. Okay. If we are not in if we're not in South Carolina by now, we're really close. Okay, which means we probably have like another 40 minutes until we actually have to start descending. So I'm gonna step away for a little bit and just kind of stretch my legs and maybe grab a quick snack before I come back. We're going to hang out here for a little bit longer, and we're going to finish our flight into Orlando. I don't think I'll be doing a stream tomorrow. I think the next stream for me may either literally be on Saturday or on Monday. We'll see what happens. But I'm enjoying this time up in the air and just kind of like messing around with toys and just cooling off here. So, bear with me for like a minute or two. I'll BRB and then we'll continue our flight. Stand by. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have returned. Thank you for your patience. Let's double check where we are right now. We are about to enter Jacksonville Center airspace, which might be a point of contention if I was on an air traffic control network, but at least that's telling me we are pretty close to places like Charleston and Myrtle Beach, which means we are really coming up on the, I think, final third of our trip. Now, the weather looks a little spicy in Florida, so I'm going to go ahead and double check and see what the weather looks like. Okay. Real world weather says IFR, heavy thunderstorms, rain, mist. Winds are out of the south at 6 knots, 1.5 mile visibility. So clouds are overcast at 3,900 feet, scattered at 2,000. And there are a few clouds at 800 feet. This could get in the way of us figuring out how to land. And there is something I forgot to set up. I forgot to set up minimums for the arrival. So I'm going to check this really fast. For the approach into Orlando, the minimums are 290 feet, adjusted for barometric pressure. That means when the minimums call is made, I need to know that I can see the runway in front of me in order to make a decision. Which would, again, be a very important point of contention if I was interested in that kind of thing. But if I was flying IRL, that would definitely be important. Because you need to see the runway, or you need to basically identify or commit to landing on the runway at that point. And if you can't see the runway when you hit minimums, you may be setting yourself up to fail. It's certainly not going to look good on a pilot to do that in the real world. So, that's fine. 290 feet it is. If I was doing radio altimeter, it would be 200 feet above the ground. This represents 290 feet adjusted for whatever the barometric pressure of the atmosphere was at touchdown, or in that area, like around 200 feet or something, whatever the pressure was. If it was like 29 or 89 or 29 or 74, whatever, that would be the altitude on this strip at which we would have to decide whether or not we were going to land. Also, assuming that the runway will be wet, so a 9,001 foot long runway wet, we're probably going to want to make sure we have at least auto brake 2 or 3. Auto brake 3 should probably be fine for a runway that long. Auto brake 4 might be too much. 3 should probably be fine. Also, when we begin our descent, we will arm the speed brake. Arming it does allow the speed brake to deploy once we actually touch down. The rest of it will be making sure that we actually use the thrust reversers on the jet engines to slow the plane down, as well as using the automatic braking system to get us down to about 80 to 60 knots, at which we can turn off the auto brakes and the thrust reversers, and then we can taxi and park up at the gate. But let me also get my approach performance set. A runway that big, I think we're going to take flaps 30 and then the final approach speed will probably be 158 knots adjusted for wind. And there we go. Okay, good. So we've got somewhere around 200 nautical miles before we need to start descending, which is good. It's less than an hour now. Let me actually take a look at the progress page. We should be in Orlando at just past 8 p.m. Should be, give or take 15 minutes, which is cool. And we've got 206 nautical miles before we actually approach the descent point on our flight. That is definitely cool. This isn't a long haul, but like when you have been up in the air, if you're flying in the sim for anything over, like, say, 2 to 3 hours, and you have like a 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 hour flight, once you get to that point where you begin descent, any flight sim pilots in chat, you know, you kind of get that kind of like kick, and you're like, oh wow, like, I've been flying for a while, now we're getting ready to descend. This is dope. There is one thing I need to make sure I set up. I have to figure out what the approach altitude is going to be for my final approach fix. It's 1,500 feet. So we'll take it down to 2,000. Or what I like to do these days is take the altitude down to the go around altitude of 3,000 feet. Once I'm at 3,000 feet, I should probably be able to arm the approach mode, and then the computer system will follow the signal for the runway on a glide slope. But that's actually pretty good. Let's see. How we doing? Yeah, we still got the same, I think we still have the same JetBlue plane that's been flying with us this whole time, which is cool. The sun is starting to calm down. We do have some weather in the area, clearly. I'm curious to see whether or not we're going to see a lot of weather in Florida when we get there, or if we're going to miss the show by the time we actually get there, which does not appear to be the case. It's like there are popcorn thunderstorms from pretty much like Georgia down through like Jacksonville and like Gainesville, just outside of Tallahassee, and definitely just northwest and into Orlando. So it's going to be spicy. I don't know if we're going to have a lot of turbulence on touchdown or as we start descending, but we should probably see a lot of clouds. Okay. Good. Wonderful. So, I was messing with playing some games online earlier. Let me see if I can find anything else. Checking. Hmm. Wow. Bioforge. What else can I find? Castle Master. Wow. Catacomb Abyss. I think it's the same game I used to play. Let's take a look, Lyles. Let's see. That was the wrong one. Here we go. So let's see. Enter. New game. The Town Cemetery. Does it use my... No, it does not. Okay. Okay, so no sound apparently? Hang on. Oh, first baddie. Pew, pew, pew. Let's go. The Old Towny Cemetery. All right. These aren't better graphics than Elder Scrolls, but this'll do. Ooh. Wow, they're coming up out of the ground. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, check you out trying to get the drop on me. Wow. Oh, we got bats. And we got more baddies. Don't miss the purple gem in this region. Okay, well, they are getting the drop on me, aren't they? I need a red key. But, at least I got some health. If they're if they're gonna pull the thing where it's like, oh well, you know, they're just gonna keep popping up out of anywhere, then we got an issue. Keeps the key to the garden with his pet bats. Well, call me Bat Man. Ho 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 ho! I saw you coming. There's the red key, and there's a zombie. All right. Anything else? Anything else? It's not a weakened wall, but that's a weakened wall. Dun dun dun. Oh, ooh, up close and personal. Remember, don't shoot food. Okay, so this apparently is one of those games where it's like, okay, Buster, let's get going here. Don't stick around. The monsters will make short work of you. Popper's grave site. Ooh. Salute Batty. So it looks like it's raining. I use the green key. Oh, lots of bats, lots of bats. Now we have a don't know what. Okay. Let's see, how far along are we? Stand by, chap. Okay, we are coming up on what I would probably call the last leg of the cruise prior to actually beginning our descent. I should probably expect to see loads of big clouds. And I see some right now. The weather is spicy, chat. Okay, there we go. There is top of descent, which means in another 20 to 25 minutes, we'll expect to begin our descent into Orlando. Fairly safe to say there's going to be a little bit of turbulence. Whether it's a lot of turbulence or not, I don't know. We'll see what we see. Once again, thank you to everyone that's tuned in for today's flight. We took off from Boston about 2 hours ago. It was a fairly quick taxi. Well, actually, not that quick, but it was right around the 10-minute window. And then we took off, flew, made like a left turn, a climbing left turn out of Boston, and then flew down the coast, past Providence, past Long Island, and then kind of flirted with the Jersey coast and then Delmarva area. And we've flown past North and South Carolina. I'm pretty sure we're around Georgia now, and we're going to be descending very shortly. If you are tuning in for the first time and you're wondering who I am and what I do, my name is DIGI Driver. I am a flight sim streamer, content creator, trying to get back into scenery development and other things. I do like to mess around with computers and play games on stream, and I do some of the software stuff in real life. I don't have a set schedule, so even though I usually try to stream at least once a week, it's usually either just once a week or a little bit less, depending on what's going on. I do things with friends, do things with family. So the schedule does tend to get mixed up a little bit. But I usually try to spend no more than a week and a half to 2 weeks away from the stream at any given point. Now, would I say I'm a career streamer? Even though I have been doing it off and on for the past 7, borderline 8 years, I don't have a very consistent schedule right now. I almost wonder if it's time for me to get back to doing that, but I also like, being able to stream occasionally and spend most of my time catching up in other people's streams, saying hello, being a part of the community. If that changes, though, you'll most likely find out about it through my Discord. I used to be able to put up an invitation to join my Discord channel in chat, but I don't know what's changed. I can't seem to copy my Discord invite link anymore. So, suffice it to say, if I find you on Twitch, if I find you on Discord, then I can extend an invitation to you to join. But my Discord is where I hang out with my local community and talk about life, talk about streaming or technology or old games, and I wax about life there. I am a Christian streamer, and I believe in a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and believe it's the best way, the only way, to deal with life. Now, it's okay if you don't believe the same thing I do. It's okay if you don't want to. I would like everyone to be as I am, saved and set to live in eternity in heaven with God through Christ, but I welcome you here regardless of who you are, what you believe, where you came from, all that stuff. Of course, all I ask is that you as an individual respect me as a streamer and my beliefs, and I won't rail at you. Now, of course, if people start trolling on chat, then we do have moderators and myself to keep the peace and make sure people are behaving nicely. Just one point of note, of course, my moderators are fully deputized. I don't question them for timing someone out or blocking someone. They're operating within their means and their know-how. And I don't do ban appeals either. I try to do my best to take care of my community and definitely want to make sure that people understand. Most people do. And I think in general, because of the verification requirements or the restrictions on follows, if you choose not to verify, I think the majority of like the follow bot stuff is not follow botting. The Discord or the viewer bot stuff is kept at bay because I think most of them just don't have that kind of stuff in place. But hopefully that never changes. At the same time, I think having to verify your identity usually keeps some of that behavior at bay, and Yahweh permitting it always will. With that said, I am glad to have my community here. Even if you're watching the VOD, even if you're just listening to me in the background as like, maybe you're taking out the trash or cooking dinner or something, I am privileged to be a part of your afternoon and or evening and or morning if it's already July 4th and you're overseas. We are how far along right now? We're not close enough to see top of descent within 40 nautical miles yet, but we're getting close. We're under 80 nautical miles to top of descent. So because of that and because of the weather, I'm going to go ahead and set seatbelt signs back to auto. And I already have my MCP altitude set, but let me set my heading for the runway. The magnetic deviation for 17 left is going to be 185. That's kind of crazy. That's a lot of magnetic deviation. That's really weird, actually. But whatever. Now that I know it's 185, I can put that in. Okay, I'll leave that there for now. That American Airlines flight was probably flying down to Miami or something. And again, thanks to everybody that stopped by today and just hung out and chat. We are well on our way down to Orlando. We took off out of Boston. We're flying Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's not the newest one. It is the version released in the summer of 2020, what a lot of regulars around here call FS 2020. And the newer version is FS 2024. It's deliberately titled Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and it was released last November. It's got some graphical updates and some changes to the way the sim works. Not incredibly significant, but enough to warrant a new version of the sim being released, apparently. Okay, so now I can see the top of descent dot on the flight plan. Once we cross that dot, we will automatically begin descending, and the aircraft will begin to handle managing power and airspeed as we descend. We'll hopefully descend on a particular glide path down to the airport, and that will hopefully be an optimal descent. It won't be too fast, it won't be too slow, and we will be able to arrive at our intended destination. And you can already see some of the other things popping into view, like the flight plan should we need to go to our go around or holding point. And we've literally got about maybe 3 or 4 minutes before we drop. Okay, let me take one last peek outside before we drop in. Oh yeah, definitely late afternoon out here. Nice. All right, superb. We should be getting ready to drop in very shortly. Don't mind me while I save my screenshot. almost there. Looks like we've got some really high clouds too. We do have some radar on the way in, so that might that might mess up our descent. Right now, no, but we'll see. Fortunately, we've been able to stay, you know, mostly daytime, actually daytime period, daylight for this entire flight. I was under the impression we're going to be looking at sunset soon. We might still be, but right now, no. Flight display should start showing a descent path, and it does. Okay, nice and quiet. All right, so now we're beginning our descent, and now we need to start prepping our arrival. We already got the go-around altitude set. We've got our ILS system programs, or at least the radio frequency programs. We've got a good chunk of weather in the vicinity, so it's going to get interesting. And now that we're descending, I can actually arm my speed brakes, and now they're armed. So we will be around 3,000 feet way before we get to the ILS approach. All right, and now we're going to be paying a little bit of attention to radar. We'll get wing lights on now. Lots of popcorn clouds right in front of us. I wonder why the plane is kind of like switching off between airspeed and descent rate. I'm not sure if it's something that I failed to do when I set up the flight, But we really shouldn't be descending and then, like, you know, almost like bobbing back up. We're LNAV, VNAV, descent, and we're following the line. I don't know why we're having a problem. It's okay. It's a flight sim. This guy's pretty. Tonight, I might spend more time messing around with, like, the Raspberry Pi tech that I have. I might make myself some dinner. I recently got some food. I might experiment with some peppers, like some bell peppers, and I might also either make rice or make a stew of some kind, maybe. Stew, not tonight though, because I think it would take a little bit too long, and I want to be able to, like, throw something in the pressure cooker and have it ready in like 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, given that it's about to be like 8:30 in about 45 minutes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how strongly I'm going to feel about making a big production, but I will most likely at least sear um, some turkey cutlets, and then maybe what I might do. Actually, what I might do is I actually might take the sear the turkey cutlets and then make a salad. Make a salad with some greens, some like cherry tomatoes. I have plenty of dressing, and then I can potentially grab some like crackers or something and use them as croutons and have that for dinner. I've been kind of I've been kind of getting into I've been kind of getting into salad lately, which is cool. But I also like pasta and rice. I like noodles. I don't know if any of you grew up eating the Nissan cup of soup, instant like soup thing where like you poured in like hot water and you waited about like 2 minutes and then the soup was ready for you. I remember those days. I remember those days. Okay, so we left 27,000 feet. That means now I don't have to refer to airspeed in terms of Mach numbers. Not that I was, but we're coming down at a pretty healthy clip. And there's the shore. I don't see any particularly menacing clouds, so whatever systems are rolling through, they're not like that scary looking. Of course, clouds don't have to look scary to be scary, especially if there's a lot of like activity, lightning, or just like, strong winds, stuff like that. I can see the radar. I can see the weather. Now we have a tiny, tiny, slight tailwind, which is kind of cool, which I'm expecting will change once we get closer to the airport. How are we doing? Too bad I fare. Okay. Okay, looks like the updates I was doing to my other computer are done, so I'm probably going to shut it off for now. Probably. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, so that's fun. And now I can put the other keyboard I had away. That screen can go away, that's fine. Good stuff. I remember my oldest operating system I learned was, at home at least, was DOS. Okay. I've got some of my stuff ready to go back in my bag for later. I might use it later as well, but not thinking too hard about that right now. I'm pretty much set for my final approach. Speaking of final approach, let's see. All right, we're almost at 18,000 feet, which means we'll need to get the local pressure. Weather's probably going to be 299 or 4. So I can set that up right now. There we go. There we go. Back down to local pressure. And once we close in on 10,000 feet, the plane will probably level off briefly in order to slow down more. You want to cross 10,000 feet, usually at 250 knots or slower than that. Oh, in we go. All right, strap in, chat. So, 110.905 and 185 is the approach course. APU is not on right now, and anti-ice is auto. So pretty much once we get to here and once we get to here, we will be locking into the approach course for the runway, and we're landing 17 left. When we get to 17 left and we prepare to peel off the runway, we will most likely be peeling off at Foxtrot and then going down Foxtrot to Echo, Echo 6 and then Echo, and then Echo all the way over to Airside 3. All right. Welcome to the soup. We should be getting some precip soon. What's the outside air temperature? Okay, 19. So we don't have to deal with anti-ice right now. But the anti-ice system is set on auto. Comes the message. Let's extend some speed brake. We need to get back down to the purple band on the left side. Okay, we're back to having speed brakes armed. We were using them temporarily to slow down for our arrival. As long as we stay around 254 or lower, we want to be at 250 knots for our transition through 10,000 feet. And before I forget, let me just turn on my landing lights now. I'll turn off my wing lights and turn on my turn-offs. My runway turn-off lights. So you know what? No. Keep the wing lights on and turn those on when you're about to land. $10,000, we're about to cross. Yeesh. These clouds are kind of epic. Okay, below 10,000. Auto brake 3 is set, speed brakes are armed, seat belts are on. Let me just catch up with our checklists here. Check recall. Recall checked. Auto brake 3. Landing data. We are landing Rev plus 5 of 158 knots. And we're landing. That's it. Approach. Getting pretty close to approach. Altimeters are set and checked. And that is about it. We're going a bit too, way too fast. Let's go. All right. We'll take flaps 1. Now we're under clean speed. Now we have to start slowing down significantly to match the desired, I guess, attitude. We'll go flaps 5. Yeah. I'm going to keep the speed brakes pulled out until we actually get set for our arrival. Speed brakes are armed again, and now we're at flaps 10. So roughly 20 some odd miles, final 180 knots is actually a pretty good speed. And what about altitude? Okay, that's fine. About 3,000 feet by 10 nautical miles or so. That's okay. Okay, now the trick is whether or not we're going to be dealing with any other planes coming in. This is live traffic, so live traffic clearly doesn't know I'm here. So I may be playing second fiddle to a, JetBlue or Frontier or some other aircraft coming into the same runway. I can choose to ignore them. They are just live traffic, but I want to try to be coordinated if I can. And if I decide, I can always slide over to 17 right. But we'll see what happens. 180 knots right now is a pretty good approach speed for the final approach. This is 20 nautical miles, so we're basically less than 20 miles now from the airport. Okay, now I'm going to do this. I'm going to slow down strategically. I'm going to say flaps 15 and gear down. Here comes the gear. And give me flaps 17 and 18, please. And we will get the nose light on. And now we'll turn on the turn-offs of runway turn-offs and get rid of those wing lights. And also get flaps 20. Once we're on approach, I will need to double check my airspeed. Oof, what a beautiful sunset. Especially in the wake of rain. Wow. Dude. It's so pretty. Cabin crew, please take your seats. Flaps 25, please. Okay, so pretty much fully configured. Looks like I got a better hoof it too. So I'm gonna should I bring flaps back up a little bit? Let's go flaps 20 for now. activate approach mode. So we are on low and glide slope, and those diamonds will help get us down to the runway even when we can't see that well. Okay, so again, we're looking to exit the runway by Foxtrot, which is going to be about 2/3 of the way down. We are descending, and we do have our go around altitude set at 3,000. Okay, so now we're established on the glide. Let's go ahead and slow down to flaps 25, and we're going to set 158 as our approach speed, and flaps 30. So we are fully configured, and we're getting set to arrive. Flaps are all the way down. And that is the drone camera. $2,500. I see nothing in front of me. Whew. We're in the pattern, that's for sure. So, ceiling was as low as like 800 feet, but we are following the glide path down at this point, so we're locked in. Fair warning again, I'm flying with live traffic, which means they can't see me because clearly I'm not there IRL. If I was there, I would have been talking to ATC by this point, and everybody would have been queued in and maintained really well. Right now, the system has automatically chosen land 3, which I think means it will land itself. But that's not going to be an issue because I see the runway. Winds are coming from the west-southwest at about 8 knots. So landing south was a very good idea. Again, simulated traffic. I don't care that they're on the runway. If this was VATSIM, it would be a different story. They'd probably be telling me to go around right now. My aircraft. Continue. Flare, flare. There we go. And touchdown. Reversers. Reverse screen, speed brakes up. Reversers normal. welcome down to Orlando, everybody. A very interesting entry. And I'm starting to get the hang of flying the Horizon 789. That was fun. Alright, let's clean up. Auto brake disarm to off. And we will turn off the other landing lights. Just keep the nose light on. Wing lights on, turn offs off. And we'll keep the strobe light. Oh, check it out. Somebody just came in from South America. I think that's Brazil. Dude. Now it's a party. Okay. So, flight director's off. And get the APU running. We will hold short as a courtesy. And we will probably switch over to Echo at this point. And thank you for the follow, COVID-97. Appreciate you. Welcome to the DIGI fam. Hope you enjoyed your flight today. Or if you're tuning in for the first time and you're tuning in just now, hello. Welcome. I'm a flight sim streamer. We produce flight sim streams here, occasional scenery development and or programming things for fun. Welcome. And thanks for being a follower. We're now crossing 17 right, and after we do that, we can turn off the strobe and the nose light, which I'm going to do right now. So, strobe can come off, taxi can come on, and nose light can come off. Wing lights can stay on, and the APU should be running at this point. Welcome to Orlando International Airport, everybody. The time is now thunderstorm o'clock. We have arrived on 17 left, and we're going to airside 3, which is where I usually fly to IRL. We're going to pick what I'm hoping will be a heavy gate, and if it's not, we'll make it heavy. I don't care. And then we'll be able to bid all of you a fond farewell. What's my block time right now? Let's see. I can't tell. I can't tell. 2 hours and I'm assuming that we went through 2 cycles of this already, so I'm assuming 2 hours and 48 minutes. That means I am well ahead of schedule, which is dope. Okay. Turn off the weather, and that should do it for us. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Airside 1 over here, I think. Either that or Airside 2, I don't know. But Airside 3 is on the other side of these bridges. So there are some actual legit bridges we have to cross over traffic. And don't mind the bumps in the road. This is just, I think, a difference between whatever the terrain is set to in the sim. I might have to adjust my terrain detail, but at the same time, I'm not worried about it. Look at that. Loads of traffic, though. So I'm actually glad that I landed on 17 left, because it looks like all the traffic is coming in on the 18s. This is pretty dope. All right, talk to me about the airport taxiways. Okay. So we're coming into Airside 3, and I can probably just peel off right now, or peel off at like Echo 1 after this pond, and then basically pick a place to park. But because I'm feeling particularly lazy, I'm just going to peel off right here. What's that? Oh, great. And just in time for an IRL food delivery, it would seem. Great. So let's just go ahead and park up, and then we will say our goodbyes for the evening. Again, I don't have a particularly set schedule. I try to stream once a week, but at the same time, it usually winds up being closer to the weekends. And also, depending on what's up, I will also stream during the week if I have time off, like I've had over the past couple of weeks, which is great. Let's see. Good. Which one should I use? Probably none of those. I am presuming where that truck is parked is probably where I can actually park my plane. Or that particularly huge parking spot that I see at the end should work. Almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, this is definitely a big parking spot. And that's it, too. Parking brakes in. Let's go ahead and lock it up. All right, give me some dome lighting and taxi lights off, wing lights off. Let's go ahead and park it and hopefully get some GSX disembarkation going on.
This parking is too small for your aircraft. This parking is too small
Says
for your
you.
aircraft.
Stand by. Apply. And done. You were saying?
Deboarding requested.
We're going to use American. Deboarding the jetways hooking up to the plane. Oh yeah, this is big enough. Trust. Too small for the aircraft. Whatever. Alright, so stand by. Let's go ahead and get some dome lighting up. And welcome to Orlando. Let's go ahead and turn on the available external power. Turn off the APU. I don't care about that anymore. And we can turn off all our fuel pumps and get the clock turned off. So, roughly 2 hours and 54 minutes. That's still a healthy, like 5 or 6 minutes ahead of the predicted block time of 3 hours for today's flight. I feel really happy about that.
Passengers boarding site.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Roughly 3 hour flight from Boston to Orlando. And with an extra 25 minutes or stuff for me yammering on stream and sharing some cool things with you, we have arrived. Folks, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. That's going to do it for me. I can certainly point you in the direction of another Flight Sim streamer or two that's actually streaming right now. Give me a few seconds and I will set up the raid immediately. Thanks again. Thanks so much for being a part of the channel and for supporting me. Again, stay tuned to my Discord. I don't have the way of getting the invites up, unfortunately, but at the same time, thanks so much for coming in today. I am going to send you all in the direction of my good friend, Ibanez Player 200. Let's go ahead and set up the raid now. Thank you so much for stopping in today. And like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace, and that's Jesus Christ. Have a great night, friends. Enjoy the rest of your day, and happy 4th of July to my stateside friends. Until next time, bye.